Hello and welcome to this highlights from the WA Historic Touring Cars, proudly brought to you by Revo Fitness here at Perth's Barbagallo Raceway. Kicking things off with race 1 highlights, and it's Greg Barr straight to the inside in front of the Bondi guys in the Holden HQ Monaro GTS Coupes. You can just see the rest of the field swinging on through. The Mustang in the centre of shop there, the 33 Patrick Dick Autocraft Western Australia proprietary limited car, looking to make up ground. He's got the Mini right next to him, and that looks like it's Lawrence Stannard in the Mini Cooper S. There's this big field of cars swings on through, over 30 vehicles out there. You can just see the Jaguar Mark II of Graham Lipsey in the middle of it, as well as the BMW 2002 of Maxwell Farrell around the outside. Hopefully he'll be able to make up the position. We've got Brian Francis there in the EH Holden, the not lime green, the light blue sort of looking car. As now Maxwell down the inside, Maxwell Farrell taking the position in the BMW 2002. He takes it away from Stephen Smith in the Ford Cortina. There's so many Ford Cortinas out there, hard to pick who's who, as Randall Beavis now comes under pressure from Patrick Dick. Patrick looking to try to make the pass as Randall Beavis looks all over the rear of that EH Holden of Brian Francis. So they're already splitting off into battles here. It's going to be hard to keep track of who's who as they race each other around. He's continuing to hold on in front though, Brian Francis at the moment. Randall Beavis putting all sorts of pressure on him. And then the Mustang of Dick just sitting in behind as we go on board with Lance Stannard in the Morris Cooper S. You can just see in front of him is the Jaguar Mark II of Graham Lipsey. So these guys, all different types of cars, all different variations of engine and driveline. And they're all fighting each other hard as Randall Beavis down the inside, just holding the Mustang in behind him. It looks like there's not a way past there for Patrick Dick as they come down to the final corner. Fighting all over the road. Just look at the way these guys are spreading through. And they are all just trying to make up position as we swing around and take another lap. David Ward in the XY Falcon GTHO making his way through. Oh, a little bit of a touch at the front. That is the number 74 car of Daniel Dragovic, who has touched Greg Barr. Now Dragovic to the inside. Oh, moves over on Barr as well into turn 1. So Barr not happy about that. It looks like he's given him a touch in turn 1, and Dragovic goes around. So they were playing for keeps there, the two leaders. It all kicked off. And Greg Barr may well be in a little bit of strife for that one after the race. We'll have to see what happens as we go further down the field and look at this Falcon Sprint coming over the hill of Bill Meek. He's got right behind him the Escort RS 1600 of Owen Satchel. There's Owen there coming through the corner, sliding it onto the front straight. And those two are trying to chase down the Bondi pair, who look like they have got a semi-comfortable lead at the moment. John Bondi leading the way. Is sliding again the Escort of Owen Satchel, and this man out in front, Greg Barr, though we hear there's a penalty looming over his head, so he may well not be the victor after this one, but Greg Barr is going to be the man who greets the checkered flag after that contact with Dragovic. As we take a look at the results, yes, they've changed. So it's John Bondi leading home, Brian Bondi, Bill Meek, Owen Satchel, Jeff Hamilton, and Mike Vander rounding out your top 6. After the race, we caught up with Brendan Fickling, driver of one of the Ford Cortina GTs, to find out what it's like to race in historic touring cars.
Right, so 1963 Ford Cortina GT, the four-door. Runs a 1500cc pre-crossflow motor, which is the engine spec of the era. Has twin Webers and runs on 100 octane racing fuel. Oh, it's awesome. It's the most fun you can have. It's great to have a really beautiful classic old car and to be able to enjoy it. You know, you can't take them out on the streets these days and do what you'd like to do. So to be in a controlled environment, it's a really good fun way to spend your time and your money.
Some great thoughts there from Brian, another one of our Ford Cortina GT drivers. There's a slew of them out there. As we take a look now at race 2 highlights for the Revo Fitness historic touring cars here in Western Australia, and it's the Bondi guys leading the way yet again. As we take a look at Dragonich trying to get himself past the Mini just in front of him. And we go flying up this hill yet again, a big field of cars, and coming from the back it's Greg Barr. He'll be looking to try to make up position. to see if he can drive through this field. It's going to be a tough effort, as Kono Onofaro looked like he was losing out to the Monaro of Daniel Dragovic, who was coming through the field as well after that spin in race 1. And the rest of the field in behind. Here's Brian Bondi. He has got just in front of him Owen Satchel in that Escort RS, which we saw sliding during race 1. And there's Dragovic to the inside of the Falcon Rally Sprint of Bill Meek. One of the big cars out there, Bill Meek's Rally Sprint. But a great one nonetheless. Definitely turns heads, and those red racing stripes make it look like it's a pretty fast car. Right up inside the top 5 as well, so obviously doing the job as Greg Barr continues to work his way through the field. Passing cars left, right and centre. He definitely has the pace to get back towards the lead of this race. And now we take a look at one of these great battles down the order. Murray Patterson there, the number 84 car, on the outside of the Datsun 1600 of Bill Schnipper. And it looks like we've got a couple of others trying to work their way into it as well. Michael Holmes in the Ford Cortina GT just behind. So 2 different variations of Ford Cortina, the Mark 1 and the Mark 2. You can just see side by side with the 1600 just in front. And we've got all the other Cortinas in here as well. Stephen Smith is in front of this pack at the moment. He's just trying to hold on for dear life, you'd have to expect, as Greg Barr continues to make his way through the field. He's just got past Mike Vanderwright in the Ford Escort Mark 1. So Vanderwright is inside the top 6 at the moment, so Greg Barr gets there. And now it's time for him to pick off the Falcon Rally Sprint of Bill Meek. He has not wasted much time getting through this field as he continues working his way up the order. So Greg Barr with a great run through the field. It's been one to watch here in the Historic Touring Cars. Proudly brought to you by Revo Fitness this weekend. And what a weekend they've put on as we go and have a look now at Randall Beavis. He is fighting with Simon Northerly in the HQ Monaro. These two side by side. Randall gets the position in the Lotus Cortina Mark 1, so a slightly different engine under the bonnet of that one. He's got the Lotus motor with a bit more power. And you can see that that means he's able to battle with the HQ Monaro GTS Coupe of Simon Norley. Speaking of those, here's a pair of them at the front. Daniel Dragovic looking to the inside to take the lead away in this second race. John Bondi gives him plenty of room and sits in behind. So we've got HQ Monaro GTS Coupes 1, 2 and 3 here. Great for the HQ Monaro fans as Bondi throws everything at this final corner. He's not quite going to get there though, and it's going to be Dragovic who gets it done for the second race of the weekend. So taking a look at the top 10, Dragovic leads home Bondi, Satchel, Greg Barr getting home for 5th place. We'll be back on the other side of the break with more action here from Barbagallo Raceway. Welcome back to Perth's Barbagallo Raceway here with the WA Historic Touring Cars, proudly brought to you by Revo Fitness. Bondi getting sideways off the line in the red HQ Monaro. Greg Barr to the outside. Now we've got all our protagonists back at the front. It'll be interesting to see what race 3 brings as we go on board with John Bondi up the hill. And just look at that big field of cars behind him yet again. Well over 30 historic touring cars here this weekend. They've already put on plenty of action around across 2 races, and we've got 3 more to go as we take a look at the race 3 highlights here on Blendline TV. You can just see Maxwell Farrell in the BMW 2002 looking to the inside before this stream of Cortinas comes on through. It looks like Randall Beavis going around the outside of Graham Lapsley in the Jaguar Mark II. He's going to try to get the position done as he leads this big field of Cortinas yet again. We go on board with Randall Beavis, a specialised tree service car, not quite with the grunt in the straight line as Graham Lapsley takes the position away again. And we look further up the order as it looks like Maxwell Farrell now putting pressure on the 49 John Harwood Lotus Cortina Mark 1. And we go back to the very front and see Greg Barr looking to the inside of Daniel Dragovic. We've seen this before. Hopefully these two don't come to blows yet again as they fight for first position in the race. And John Bondi trying to just hold on in front at the moment. I don't think he's going to be able to hold on for long though. Daniel Dragovic and Greg Barr have had plenty of speed this weekend. You can see a little bit of smoke there from Dragovic's car as Brian Bondi slides it out of that bottom corner for the run up the hill. It's all about horsepower across the top here. You can see the reflection in the helmet, and there you go, Daniel Dragovic getting past as they dive down into the final corner and hit the brakes. So now Dragovic with the lead. It's going to be up to Greg Barr to get himself past John Bondi here and see if he can take the position. as we swing around with the Monaro. How good is it to see all these cars sliding, being driven within an inch of their lives? These guys are enjoying it, but racing hard as well. They're not too worried about tyre life or conserving anything. It's the way we love to see motorsport. The WA Historic Touring Cars putting on a show. And what a season in 2017 they have had. Looks set to be another great one in 2018. This weekend, a very special one as well, as Greg Barr gets to the inside and takes the position away. So John Bondi falls into the clutches of Brian, as Brian again slides the car up the hill. There's a fair few of them doing that. It'll be a great spectator area. Hopefully Barbagallo Raceway will open it up in the not too distant future. There's great work going on behind the scenes, and thank you to all of them for all their help this weekend, as Brian Bondi shows a bit of grass down into the final corner. So they're certainly playing for keeps. It looks like the EH Falcon of Gary Francis has pulled to the side there. As now, there's John Harwood to the inside of the number 7 HQ Monaro GTS Cooper Simon Northerly. And that's for position 11 and 12 in the race. So you can see all the way through the field there's fighting going on as Northy looks to have a shot back at him here. They're not going to do it. They're chasing down Lance Stannard in the Morris Cooper S. You can just see in front of them. And just in front of that is the Alfa Romeo GTV 2000 of Martin Piercy. He's having a good run as well, sitting in 9th place in the race at the moment, as Greg Barr tries to put some pressure on Daniel Dragovic as they come towards the finish of this race. We go on board with Barr. You can see him taking the shift on the run up the hill. He doesn't quite have the main straight pace. Of course, the 6-cylinder Tirana not quite there for horsepower. What he doesn't have, he makes up for from turn 1 all the way around the back of the circuit. Not quite enough though, and Daniel Dragovic is going to take the win. Blocks across the line as we take a look at the top 5. Greg Barr, John Bondi, Brian Bondi and Bill Meek rounding out your top 5. After the race, we caught up with Jaguar Mark II driver Graham Lapsley to find out a bit more about his spectacular car.
It's a Group NB 1961 Mark II Jaguar, 3.8 litre. I didn't develop the car myself, but I was lucky enough to come across it a couple of years ago, up for sale from a fella in the east, and I know some of the development history of the car. It was developed by a local fella by the name of Peter Graham here in the 2000s. So it's I understand it actually holds the Barbagallo lap record for its class and engine capacity. I aspire to being able to pedal it that hard, but I'm still a relative novice on P plates. But yeah, love the car. Goes like stink, goes around corners, does really well for a 1961 motor car. But yeah, they're a lot of fun. They're not as quick as some of the other cars in the category, but hey, we're out there flying the flag for Jaguars. And these cars have got a lot of competition history, having taken out the Australian Touring Car Championship in the early 60s at the hands of Bob Jane and the like. So I really enjoy driving it and putting it out there and putting on a bit of a show.
What a spectacular car that Jaguar Mark II is. Thanks to Graham Lapsley for his time to have a chat there. Another great aspect of the WA Historic Touring Cars weekend here at Barbagallo Raceway. A grid walk for all the fans. The cars put out during the lunchtime break enabled the kids to get out there and have a great long look at them, get inside some cars. You get the chance to talk to some drivers and really experience some great motorsport. Great effort from Barbagallo Raceway and the WA Historic Touring Cars. Make sure you're back here next year to check it out as we now take a look at Race 4 highlights, and Greg Barr getting the jump away from the line. He's going to lead the field down into turn 1 as the rest of the field comes on through. You can see there Conor Onfaro just in front of Lance Stannard. Those two battling away. Jeff Hamilton in the Ford Mustang in behind them. So Hamilton now with 2 minis in front of him. The big field again makes its way snaking up the hill. We've seen some great racing this weekend. It's a hot Sunday afternoon at Barbagallo Raceway. No doubt everyone's getting tired behind the wheel, but what a show it's been from the WA Historic Touring Cars. If you get a chance to get over here and check them out, it's well worth it. You'll see some plenty of great action. All of the guys willing to have a chat about their car, as well as Bill Meek down the inside, gets there and takes the position away. So come down into the final corner. He's now got to try to chase down the Bondi cars in front, and those two Mini Coopers just holding back Hamilton in the Monaro. And you can see there Mike van der Wright as well, just in behind the Falcon Rally Sprint, as Connor O'Farrow tries to close the gap to him. Oh no, he's put his hand out the window. So it looks like there's something wrong there with the Ford Escort Mark 1. It was Mike van der Wright who was pulled to the outside. There's lots of wispy smoke from the exhaust. You'd have to think he's done a head gasket or something similar. And he pulls to the outside. He'll take no further part in this race. What a disappointment, because he has had a great weekend. But still the battles continue. Simon Northey now looking to the inside of Maxwell Farrell in that BMW 2002. Farrell continues to hold position though. And Northey with a lot to do. He's got him behind him, John Harwood in the Lotus Cortina Mark 1. A little bit further back, Randall Beavis, as now Maxwell Farrell holding the line. Keeps it to the inside. Simon Northey not able to get past. And he has to sit in behind him. He's got the power to be able to make the move, but it doesn't look like he's quite got the agility through these sections of twisty corners on the run up the hill. And that's allowing Maxwell to stay in front. What racing. Cubic capacity, there's no substitute for it in the straight line, but agility gets it done as the 2002 across the top. And we've had a spinner. That's the number 12 car facing the wrong way of Gary Emihalis in another Cortina GT. He gets the car sorted though and continues on his merry way as Connor O'Farrow continues to work on the back of Jeff Hamilton, who's trying to chase down Daniel Dragovic here. Daniel Dragovic falling into their clutches a bit during this race. It looks like there might be something wrong with that car. Jeff Hamilton sniffing an opportunity, so does Connor O'Farrow, and he looks like he's trying to make the move, but not quite enough pace, of course, from the Mini down that big long straight. And he'll have a bit to do, as it looks like Jeff Hamilton has got there on Daniel Dragovic, who doesn't look like he's happy with that one and is about to make the move back in front of him. But at the front, Greg Barr, this man on screen in the LJ Tirana GTR XU1, has run away with it in race 4 this weekend. He's got a massive gap to the rest of the field, almost 15 seconds as he comes down to take the checkered flag. A great race from him. He took the lead at the start and never looked back. And that bodes well for him for the final race of the weekend, which will be a full reverse grid. As we take a look at the top 10 result, Greg Barr leading home John Bondi, Brian Bondi, Bill Meek and Daniel Dragovic rounding out your top 5. We'll be back after the break with more historic touring cars thanks to Revo Fitness. Welcome back to the WA Historic Touring Cars here on Blendline TV. It's now time for race 5 of the weekend, a very special race close to the hearts here of the Historic Touring Cars competitors. It's the Trevor Roy Young Memorial. And this one, a handicap race. We see the guys split into 2 groups, the slower 50% and the faster 50%. We go on board with Randall Beavis, who's in the slower group for the less capacity cars. Of course, this one giving everybody the opportunity over 10 laps to bring it home and see who can bring home a race victory. It's all about giving those lower capacity cars just a little bit of gap as we go into split screen. You can see on the left hand side of your screen, 50% of the cars he left early, and on the right, Daniel Dragovic rounding up almost the full field of the top 50% of cars as they come around turn 1. So that's the gap between them at the beginning of this 10-lap race. And now it's time to keep track of everybody as they make their way around this Barbagallo circuit. We've seen a great weekend of racing, and what a race to finish it off with the Trevor Roy Young Memorial. A long-time campaigner with the Historic Touring Cars, a great friend of many of the people in the category. It was great to see him being remembered here this weekend with this event. It's a great one on the calendar. Everybody wants to take home this trophy, and you'll see plenty of action fighting for it. As we take a look at the front, the Bondi guys are now behind the Mini Cooper of Lance Stannard, as he tries to work on the back of Martin Piercy in the Alfa Romeo, though he's dropping position. You can see Stannard with the hand out the window, letting the guys go. He knows he doesn't quite have the straight line speed of them, though no one's told Connor O'Farrow that, as he fights with Maxwell Farrell in the BMW 2002. Greg Barr in front of them trying to chase down Daniel Dragovic. As we go back towards the front of the race, you can see Randall Beavis there making the run up the hill. Just in front of him, or actually a decent way in front of him right now, is the Jaguar Mark II of Graham Lapsley. So Lapsley has got himself some clear air here and will look to run to the line and see what he can do. You can see he's got almost half the straight on Randall Beavis at the moment. And then just in behind is John Harwood in the Lotus Cortina Mark 1. And then you got these two battling hard. To the inside is Andy Freeman. And he is taking the position away from Murray Patterson, as Patterson falls into the clutches of another car behind him. I think that's Jonathan Wisham. Yes, it is Jonathan Wisham trying to make the position now. Looking to the inside of Andy Freeman. Is he going to get there down into the hairpin? Or not quite. Freeman gives him racing room though. They're going to run side by side. And now it's all the drag race up over the hill to the final corner as the two Ford Cortinas run side by side over the hill. It looks like that it is going to be Jonathan Whisson who gets there. And he does. He takes the position away. Now these guys don't need to be slowing each other up too much here. So they'll be giving each other plenty of room. Brill Shipper in the Datsun 1600 just in front, as they don't need to be holding each other up because this happens. Greg Barr now coming through here, takes the position away from Murray Patterson. We know he's not far behind Whisson. It looks like Daniel Dragovic has already got Whisson done. Yes, he has. As he climbs up out of the hill, out of the bowl, and goes up over the crest yet again. And now, look at this. Daniel Dragovic and Greg Barr, they've closed the gap. They've overtaken John Harwood in the Cortina Mark 1. And now the two leaders, that's the Jaguar Mark 2 of Graham Lapsley and the Cortina of Randall Beavis, just need to try to hold on to home here. They don't have very long to go, but those high-powered cars, Greg Barr right in behind Daniel Dragovic as they come up over the crest. It looks like the Trevor Young Memorial Trophy is going to go the way of one of the higher horsepower cars this weekend. They've managed to close the gap with a little bit of time left to work their way past those lower capacity cars. We're on board with Randall Beavis. He's trying to chase down the Jaguar Mark II, but those big cars are coming and coming fast. There they go. Daniel Dragovic goes past. Greg Barr makes his way by as well. Greg doesn't quite get past Graham Lapsley. The Revo Fitness car, the Tirana on screen, there it is. A little bit of smoke coming from the rear of it, so something's up in the rear of that car. But there's not very long left to go in this race, and he needs to chase down that man in front, Daniel Dragovic, and see if he can take the lead away and take another victory here. Though we're hearing he might not have to, because Dragovic may well have a penalty looming over his head for this one. So something's happened during the race to give him a couple of second penalty, and that means that Greg Barr will be the victor as long as he stays right with him. Behind, you can see Graham Lapsley and Randall Beavis have been dropped well and truly in the final stage of this race. Greg Barr sliding the car through the bottom corner. It looks like there might be something wrong with the rear of that one as well. It might just be a bit of oil spilling out into the rear of the car as Greg works on the back of Daniel Dragovic. It doesn't matter though, not for position. He's going to take the victory, and across the line he comes. Greg Barr wins the Trevor Roy Young Memorial Trophy here this weekend, leading home Graham Lapsley, Randall Beavis and Brian Bondi in fourth. We caught up with Greg Barr after the event to get his thoughts.
It's supposed to be fairly even for everybody with a 20-second delay to the fastest cars, which start 20 seconds later, and we are reversed to the back of the grid. It's pretty tight. We've got to go hard to achieve the win from the back. Take it pretty easy through the pack. We don't want to do any damage to the other competitors' cars, so we like to drive nice and clean, and that's what we did. It's been a really awesome weekend, and thanks to everyone from Revo Fitness and Historic Touring Cars WA. It's been a good weekend. We've had a few issues on the weekend, but it was really, really good to finish off the day winning the Trophy, and thanks to everybody out there. Great.
What a great weekend of historic touring car racing, proudly brought to you by Revo Fitness here for the Trevor Young Memorial Trophy weekend. We hope you've enjoyed all the action on Blendline TV. Make sure to check out the historic touring cars on Facebook and online. They've got a big 2018 season coming up. Until next time, I'm Daniel Beckinsale. Thanks for joining us. Bye for now.